Hello, Valuecity. How are you?
Hello, Rollup. I'm doing fine. I had a long day, but I'm glad to be talking about Hex now.
It's a pleasure for me. German are in the house. Germany was represented by 3 players. It's as many as American.
Yeah, it was quite a show that we brought. Yeah, all the way over the Atlantic. It was nice to have some people from the same country helping you to compete.
Nice. First of all, congratulations for your top 6 at the X Invitational.
Thank you, sir. It was quite a show. Yeah, I'm glad I finished top 6, but I would have been even happier if I would have made a bigger showing.
Yeah, we can always do better, but top 6 is really nice.
Thanks.
I got some questions from the French community. They were very happy to ask questions to players. Let's start with the X Invitational. What was the atmosphere of the tournament? Did you enjoy your journey?
Oh, I enjoyed it from the moment I stepped on the airport. I was picked up by Hex. They had all taken care of, had us at a nice hotel, and the days before were quite full with like video shoots and interviews and stuff, and playing set 4 at the headquarters, which was fun. And obviously the big finale was the tournament, which had an amazing venue. And yeah, just really fun crowd there. And it was really, really cool. Really, the adrenaline was pumping when we were playing, at least it was for me. Yeah. So couldn't have asked for a better showing there. Yeah.
I can imagine. I got a question from one of our viewers, Kama Remo. Do you know all the players? Some of them are friends or rival?
Actually, I didn't know any of the players really well before I came. I talked to a few online, but just in clients. So I wasn't really friends with anybody before. But coming in, I think I was really good friends with after meeting Sirius. I mean, with one of your French players,
Yeah.
and we actually, once we got the deck list on Friday, we went home to the hotel room and practiced a couple hours that night just to see the matchups, talked about what we should sideboard and stuff, and I think we helped each other out going into day one, and I hope I was a little part of him going far on day one.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
Another question from Cheden. Why did you choose your deck? What was your thought?
All right, my thought process going into this was I had guessed what other people were playing, and it turns out I was correct about most of them, except Sirius, of course, and Coma also surprised me. Those two were the big surprises that I didn't expect, but the rest was pretty close to what I expected. And yeah, so then once I'd figured out what I'm kind of expecting, I tested a few decks to see what I should take, and among them were Blood Diamond, which I ended up taking, Winter Moon, similar to Coma's list, and a Benvolio deck. And I thought after all my testing was done that Blood Diamond gave me the best win rate overall against the field that I was expecting. Yeah. So that's how I came up with my deck.
Okay, and personally, I think it's a clever version of Blood Diamond because you get only 2 solitary exile, and the big problem of the Blood Diamond is the threshold, and you don't have many diamond threshold. You focus on the blood double threshold.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the point of my deck is that I want to have the flexibility. Like in some matchups, you really want the angel on as early as you can, whereas in others it's not that great, where you'd much rather play Inquisition on turn 2. So my main is more blood based, but if I'm facing aggro or something like that, I can still switch to diamonds and bring the angels from the sideboard. So I want to have the flexibility in there to adapt to the matchup I'm facing.
Yeah, it was really clever because it's really a big problem, the threshold with Blood Diamond.
Definitely, yeah, I agree.
Another question from Deus and Frizet. It's actually two questions in one. What do you think of the shape of the tournament? Day 1 existed solely to get from 12 to 8, and it knocked out the third of the player, but the draft eliminated half of the player. Was it fair to you? And what do you think of making a limited tournament and a construct tournament?
I think, well, that I have to back up a little bit for this question, because I think originally the way it was planned out to be was for there to be 8 players. So basically there'd be first a draft, and then with the 4 remaining, the 4 would battle it out with constructed. But the thing is, if you only bring 8, you run the risk that some people might not show up due to visa or other reasons. And so they decided to go for 12 players. In case some people wouldn't show up, they would still at least have 8 people after they want to do a draft, which they really want to incorporate into the tournament. And which it turned out was a smart decision, since 2 people didn't make it. So that was their reasoning for going that route with the first day of constructed extra. And overall, I think I actually think, yeah, if there would have been 12 people on day 1, would have felt a bit more exciting, because then you knock out 4 during the first day, and then 4 during draft, and then another 3 during constructed. So that would have been cool. But the way it was with only 10 players was that, for instance, me and Cyrus, we got 2-0 after the first 2 rounds, and we are already safe for the next day. So it felt a little bit lackluster, so we didn't even need to try hard our next 2 games. Basically, the game was over after the day was over after 2 days, and since the standings didn't carry over, it didn't matter at that point. So I think there could be improvements made, but overall, I like that the tournament tests both your skills, your drafting and your constructed skills.
Oh yeah, it was a really awesome tournament. The draft phase, we got awesome matches.
Yeah, for sure.
Another question: how do you focus in and between games? Do you have any rituals?
Honestly, it is usually I would just try to calm down and really just close my eyes and envision like what I'm gonna do, how my plays are gonna look. But for the tournament, it was a little bit different because, for example, they gave us all the deck lists only on Friday from the other players. So basically you had the night to learn every single card in every single deck and also do testing and everything. So I personally didn't manage to learn all the deck lists by heart. So I still had to do in between games, look at the deck lists again, try to remember what is he running, how many of this card, how many of that card. So I had to do that on day 1, and day 2 was similar. During draft, they gave us the deck list right like 15 minutes before round 1 started. So you're just in every single moment you had in between rounds, you're just looking at the paper, trying to memorize what everyone had. So that was quite intense. So you never really got to shut off your brain. You had to constantly be like, all right, I got to study. So it was quite tough, but yeah, I mean, ideally you just shut off and like try to calm down, meditate maybe a little bit to be ready, mentally ready for the next round.
Another question: what do you think of your team or people that helps you for preparing the tournament? Were they helpful?
Actually, funny story. Before the tournament, I wasn't part of any team. So at first, I played Gauntlet, and the closer the tournament got, I got my secondary Kickstarter account on my second computer, and so I played against myself on 2 computers. And it was a lot faster that way and I had full knowledge, so I had to always pretend what I knew and what wasn't. So that was a little bit complicated, but turns would go much quicker when you don't have to fake a counter magic because your opponent doesn't have anything you can counter. So it turned out quite alright, but yeah, since after the tournament I joined the team, and I think in future I'll do the deck testing with other people, yeah.
Okay, or maybe just people, friends on Skype. No one helped you?
No, not before the tournament, nothing like that, no. No, I was just a lone wolf all by myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
So congratulations for your top 6 doing it all alone.
Thanks. Yeah.
Another question. What was your favorite moment in the 2 days of the tournament?
My favorite moment, I think that was the win on my 2-0 at day 1. So once I got 2-0 and I knew I was going to the draft, that was the most relieving moment of the tournament. That was when I was the most excited and happiest, when I got that 2-0, yeah.
You didn't had a crazy move? Master Machu made a game with a spider 21-21 unblockable?
Oh yeah, there was a game against Egloff during the draft where I top decked I think it was a Flamehand Invoker, shifted the ability and swung in with 7 open mana and activated like the +7 on it, exact lethal, or like 1 over lethal. But yeah, that was the most exciting move, I guess. But
Oh.
I misplayed on game 3 and lost that game. But
Oh, it's sad.
yeah, that was really my most frustrating move of the tournament. I mean, it didn't end up mattering because my deck really only had 3 winnable matchups, which were against Sirius, against Egloff, and against Coma, and I did end up playing Coma in the 1-1 game, which was super close, but unfortunately I lost. But yeah, so if I would have beat Egloff, I would have lost against any of the other 1-0s in round 2. So it wouldn't have mattered, but still it annoys me. And that it was on stream is the worst, that everybody could see like, oh, because I was playing around a card, but it didn't make sense playing around that card. I should have rather gone all in. And so, yeah, that's the move I regretted the most. Other than that, I think I played fairly well throughout the entire tournament. Yeah.
And it's difficult to play on stage with all the crowd, the stress.
Actually, I managed to, at least I thought at the time, to fully shut it off. Like I wouldn't really notice the crowd at all. Like sometimes I was super focused on my screen. I didn't even realize what was going on behind the screen. There could have been a naked girl and I would have still looked at the screen. Yeah,
yeah, with the focus and the headset.
Exactly. Yeah, all you noticed sometimes was when the crowd was cheering really loud, you would hear the floor shake a little bit, and that's when I knew like something crazy happened somewhere. But that was basically the only thing I noticed during the games about what other stuff was going on. Yeah.
Okay. Another question. In X, there is a risk and reward situation, and players usually go for low risk, low rewards to avoid dangerous move. Do you think players are too cautious sometimes?
It really depends on the circumstance. Like if you are in, like, let's say I play in a draft or something where I have a normal competitive draft, just like heat up, like normal hacks, not in like one of those high stakes tournaments, then I have to be really cautious and not take high risk because I don't need to, because like over the long run, I can outplay most people on average. So the longer the game goes, the higher the chances that I will outplay them. But the closer it is, like the closer my opponent is on my skill level, the more riskier moves are worth taking. So if I have if there's a decision where I win the game with 60% and I lose the game with 40% during the Hex Invitational, I would instantly take that chance. But in a normal gauntlet game, I would no, I don't want to lose 40% of my game just based on that one draw. So I would rather play it safe. So I think it really depends on the situation. But I agree with you. In the high stakes tournament, you should really be willing to take big risk if the reward situation is worth it.
Now I got more general question from our viewers.
All right.
Question from Overspace. What was your first TCG and what is your favorite TCG beside X?
My very first TCG was Magic the Gathering when I was like 12 or 13, but I really just had like one of those starter decks and got a couple cards and played with my friends on the floor. Like it was nothing serious. Like my deck probably had like 80 or 90 cards and I was just putting stuff in that looked fun. So it was not like competitive at all. It was just for the fun of it.
We all started like that.
Yeah,
playing
I guess
with friends with crappy deck.
Exactly, yeah. But then after that, I took a long break. It was, like I played a lot of soccer, football, and a lot of sports. So I wasn't really into the computer games and stuff like that until very recently. When Hearthstone came out, I got into that one, did quite well, won tournaments during the beta and was considering going pro there, but then I found out about Hex and just switched over because I liked it much better. Yeah.
Yeah, you saw in your interview you only spent $10 and you ended with a full collection after drafting.
Yeah, like way more than a full collection. I think I still have, because I played against my second account, so my second account needed all the cards like Grease and Fanteo as well to practice. So, and plus I have like a 400 packs still left and all the alternate art. So yeah, I mean I rare draft. That's why I was surprised that when they told me that I have one of the highest win rates. Yeah, I was like, really? Because I think on average I take 5 to 7 rares. So I really, just take the rares, and then if there's no rare, then I take the best card for my deck. But so that I just try to optimize the value, as my name says.
Yeah.
At all times.
It's really nice to you because it's our next question from Sartrixa. Can you tell us if you agree more about your in-game nickname?
All right. So I should talk more about my in-game name, or what was the question?
Yeah. Well, can you tell us more about your in-game nickname? Where did it come from?
Okay. Yeah. So it's a combination of things. As I said, I came over from Hearthstone from its early days, and back then there was this show called Value Town, and it was like the most watched show, and I quite enjoyed watching that one. And like my focus, my approach both for Hearthstone and Hex was more of a value approach rather than a tempo and aggro approach. So I like that part. And actually I got confused when I signed up for Hex because it said keep name, and I thought it was just the name of my stronghold. Like
Okay.
we have the keep fight. So I thought, all right, I'm gonna have my in-game name is gonna be something else, but I want to be off keep Valuecity because that sounds fitting. But yeah, so it turned out there never came an in-game name question, so I just stuck with Valuecity, and yeah, now I quite like it.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
Another question from Lot Orkani. Do you think the set and the game generally are well balanced?
Yeah, definitely. I think the more sets we get, the better the balance constructed wise is. Like if you think back to set 1 or 2, there were really not that many different archetypes that were seeing constant play. Um, like there was, yeah, basically 2 or 3 decks max at a time that were really good. And if you look now at like Hex Meta, like every day there's almost 10 different, completely different decks that made 5 X
Yeah,
and Gauntlet. So like, I think it's amazing how diverse the meta is at the moment.
yeah,
So
the meta is really healthy.
yeah, so balance wise, I think they made a really good job, which I think is incredibly difficult for TCG with so many cards and so many possible interactions that you can have to strike a balance like they did after the release of Step 3. So I wasn't surprised that they screwed up with Titania's Majesty, but that's just the risk that they take when they make crazy cards. And so sometimes they overshoot the bow a little bit. But I mean, I'd rather have it this way than always staying on the conservative side and not seeing as many cool cards and more vanilla cards. So I think they're doing a fantastic job on the constructed side of balancing. And limited, um, it's hard. Like the sets were balanced around 15 cards, then they've gone the
17.
due to the Magic the Gathering situation to 17, and I think it showed that the meta changed. And I mean, the card, when they came up with the set, it was balanced around 15. So obviously it was not in the ideal situation anymore after going to 17. But I still like to play draft as much as I can when I have spare time. So I mean, I love it. I think set 4 will even be more fun to play draft. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I talked with Vasrel, and I know you can't tell us more before the release, but he told me the set 4 was really cool in draft.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a nice. We actually, I can't talk about that either, about details, but what I can say is that we got to play set 5 just on paper cards.
Oh, really nice.
Yeah, in the office. So that will also be, that look even more fun than set 4, to be honest.
And Vasrel told me there will be lots of change in the constrict meta with the set 4. Are you did you agree?
Um, I think so. I mean, um,
From
was your
from what you've seen?
from what I've seen, I think there will definitely be some change in the meta. There will be new decks emerging. Um, Unlike him, I don't know yet what. I mean, I think I know some decks that might be good, but that's really one of his specialties, looking at the new cards and already trying to build new decks. I didn't pay that much attention to the constructed. Like when we had the chance to play with set 4, like all I was doing was playing Sealed Gauntlet and yeah, doing limited, and all he was doing, well, not all, but he enjoyed looking at the cards and trying to see how he can come up with a constructed deck. So it showed like what everyone prefers. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
really nice. And the final question from Draduli 2. Do you have any advice for the new player who starts the game? Maybe like you, drafting a lot?
Um, for the new player, yeah, I think it depends on with how much background you start. If you started with like a lot of Magic the Gathering background, then your learning curve will be faster than if you've never played a TCG before, obviously. But I think generally it's best to watch a few streamers, um, see how they do in draft, what they do, why they do it, and yeah, once you get to the point, it's an exercise I like to do when I compared myself to other pros, like back in Hearthstone, was to pause, like go to a Twitch watch pause at every situation and think, what decision would you make? And then push play again and see what decision they make. And then, so try to learn that way and come up with reasons why they made different moves. If they made the same moves, that's a good sign. So yeah, and once you feel comfortable, then go jump in the draft. I mean, it's the best format to say.
Okay, really nice.
Yeah.
Okay, Valuecity, thank you for taking a bit of your time to answer to this question, and we wish you the best for the future.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Okay, thank you so much.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for doing all this work. Yeah, it's really cool when people put in the effort like you do.
It was my pleasure.
Greetings to the French community.
Thank you.